Hello, and glad to have you here. Today is day 4 of a 10-day online crew challenge put on by Helen Martin. And she gives us our topic. So, my topic for today, day 4, is about a personal story. So, and a story that really impacted your life. So, I just want to share my journey of love, foster family, and adoption. And this is something that's really, really special to me, and probably maybe other people can also understand or relate to where I'm coming from because of my love of children and my love of my always wanting children. And not being able to have my own, I chose adoption. And so anyway, so I started out with putting an application in to Lutheran Family Services a long time ago. And this is right about 25, 26 years ago. And I remember the paperwork was like crazy. It was so much to do, but I didn't mind doing it because it was something that I really wanted. And I prayed about it, and I just was asking for God's blessing on my life with children if I could do that by because I wasn't married anymore. I had a divorce early on, like right in my childbearing years. So there was I was like, yeah, I really want children. I don't want to wait any longer. So when I adopted my kids, I got them in my 40s. I was in my 40s, and I was a single parent. So I put the paperwork in, had a great relationship with the person who was helping me with it. I don't. She was the social worker that was working with my particular case, and we became friends. And over time, we ended up paperwork went through, and she called me and told me, I can remember I'd had surgery. My foot was. I wasn't supposed to be like up on my foot because I'd had this particular foot surgery. And but when she told me that, she called me one day, it was like around Valentine's Day, and she told me that they had a child in care for me, that the family, the parent, the mother had chosen me as the person to adopt her son. So I was so excited. It's just I don't I don't know if you can really relate unless you really love children and you want them at no cost, and you just deal with it, and whatever the situation is. And mine was through adoption. And there was a foster family involved, and this was something I learned as I went along in the process. And they had my first son, and we were going to meet at Lutheran Family Services some years ago. And so I got my first son. I was so excited. It'd be nice if I could hold up pictures for you to see him, but it probably might not go as well as I like. So I didn't grab the pictures in there, in the computer anyway. But just think about something that you've always wanted, always wished for, prayed for, hoped for, and all of a sudden, you're getting it. I mean, that day. And I could not keep myself settled. I couldn't sleep the night before, knowing that, we had an appointment to go and pick up my first son, on a day my friend came and got me. We had set this out, and we knew what time and what date and all that. Went to go and pick him up, and I hadn't seen him before except for pictures. Oh, he was like 2 months old and 2 days, and just so, so precious, so special. And I was so excited, that my I remember my girlfriend who was driving us home, she was like, because I was trying to keep the sun out of his face. I'm in the back seat with him in the car seat, and I like got my hand. Oh, the sun's getting in his face. And she's like going, oh, she's tripping. So anyway, we settled down, and I got to bring him home, and everybody came over, to see him and welcome him into the family, and a lot of family and friends here. And it was so awesome. It was just, my heart was so full. It was just amazing. And meeting the foster parent who actually cared for him was also an awesome experience over the lifetime of my first son. And his name is Taylor. And he, was just, the light of her life. She was so excited to have him, and she was really kind of particular about making sure that where he was going was to a good home. And so was my social worker. And so, you know, she understood after she met me. She said, I understand why they chose you. I think you're going to be great, as a mother for this child. And, he's so special and he's so precious. So that was how I got to meet my first child and my first son. And I didn't really, I remember in my prayers, I said, as long as the child is born healthy, Lord, please, if it's in your will for me, for my life, to have children through adoption, or, because there was no other way at that time for me. And so I got my first son. So me and the foster mom's family, we were really close, and they came to see him, and we have several pictures. And you're not supposed to really do that, but we did it anyway. And so it was like, it's just a great relationship. And I said, having so many people in my life that love my son is just an awesome experience. So, and I mean, so anyway, all right. So I'm going to stop at that one. So that was my first son. And, it was just every day was a blessing, whether we're running late or not, whether he, right after I change him and we're going out the door, I smell something and we got to come back. And, or, there's something, I feel wet, or anyway, that went on for 4.5 years or so. And he had kept asking me for a little brother. And mom, am I gonna have a brother? Am I gonna have? Can we get another baby, mommy? And that kind of stuff. And so, anyway, I prayed again, and I kept praying. I was already doing the paperwork. It just, took me a little bit of time because I had the time, to really sit and work out everything, and, make sure that I had all of my paperwork done. And my social worker was coming to the house, and I had been praying about another child. And because I was so in love with my first child, I was just really ecstatic at the possibility of having a second son or a second child. I didn't know what the sex would be. And so one evening, as I was having some work done in the house, and my social worker was coming by to finish up my home study. And so we did that. And she said, Cherie, I was told to tell you this information. I just wanted to wait until the person who was working on your house left, but there is a child in care. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? You told me there wasn't anyone." So I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like getting this big grin on my face. I'm all excited. I've been praying about this child for a while and just wanting to make sure that I was, in the will of God, doing the things, that I wanted to do. And to have just that blessing, just so exciting, I mean, my heart just leapt when she said, we have a child in care. She wouldn't show me a picture. She wanted to tell me about his history and his background and make sure that I, was okay with that. And so there's stuff in his background, there's stuff in, most of our backgrounds. We may know it, we may not know it, but, so even, with people that have their own kids, there can be stuff, So anyway, she said, Cherie, I know that you're really excited, and that's why I wanted to talk to you first before I showed you the picture, because I know once you see the picture, you'll be in love with him. But I want to make sure that you are aware of some of the stuff in his background from his, birth family. And so I, said, well, I prayed about this, and, I believe that this is, this is my child. I believe that you have my child, my second child, and I can hardly wait, to see." And so she said, "Okay, I'll tell you what, do one thing for me. When you talk to, would you talk to your doctor tomorrow and see what he thinks. Get his advice on some of the things I've told you as far as the background, yada yada." And I was like, "Okay." So once I did that, she had said, "After we do that and you're still comfortable, we'll move it ahead and we'll be able to get him to you by Friday," which was only like like I think I talked to her like the week before. So the following week, yeah, it was like rolling, on and rolling. And so it was really just, I just can't, it's hard to explain. My heart just felt like, I had just received like $1 million, or the best, news in the world. It was just so exciting, and it was breathtaking for me. It was like my heart was totally open, because I was already in love with my first son, and I was going to be in love with my next one, and I was just going to leave it up to, just how things go, and just go on. But I wanted this child so bad. And she said, "Well, yeah, I will push the paperwork through after you talk to the doctor," which I did, and which she did. And so then we ended up to where on Friday that week, the next week, they had an opening at Lutheran Family Services, so they could set up. Well, I'm getting all overheated now. They said, "We can get you in, and we'll have the ceremony there at the center." And so I was all excited. My sister was there. My niece was there. One of my best friends was there, because you just can't do everybody, in that setting. But and one of the main things was to make sure that my son, my first son, Taylor, that he knew that he was still important, that he knew that he was going to be the big brother, that he is excited. And so he got to go and actually meet David, my younger son, before I got to. So they said, "We're just going to take him back and let him meet, because he's the big brother and he's really important in this process," and yada, yada. And so he did that. So I'm just, I think at that time I had a surgery, or it was either a surgery or I had broken my foot. I can't remember exactly. All I know is, again, I had one foot, one leg that I wasn't supposed to be really standing on. I remember having my boot on and, a cane and whatever. And so we're at Lutheran Family Services place center with family and friends, and and I'm just so excited. And so they take, like I said, Taylor back first to meet his little brother, and then he came out and he says, "Mommy, mommy, David's coming." And I was like so excited. I was standing at the door, for them to bring him down, but I was inside, so I couldn't really see on the outside. And this little girl walked by, and in front of me, and I kind of looked at her. I was like, "She looks familiar," but just didn't quite get it. I was like, "Oh well." Anyway, I'm waiting on David, whatever. So all of a sudden the door opens, and out steps this lady holding my son David, and you'll never guess who it was. It was the same foster parent that had Taylor. And she knew about it, and she kept telling her husband, because it was my birthday, we were going to celebrate, and I was going to just go do something, and she was going to watch Taylor for me that night, because she would, still, she was just crazy about my sons, because she had them both as her foster kids for, the little time that she had them. And so all of a sudden, like I said, as the door opens, I see this lady, and I just about flipped. I just knew that God had answered my prayer. I just knew that I was, in the right place in the right time, that this was to be my son. And it was just, I mean, when I saw her come through, and she's about like this tall. And I'm like, this tall. And so we're like standing there. I got this boot on, and I just couldn't even, I just had to turn, lift my hands to God, and just give praise and thanks. And tears were rolling from my eyes. I was so, so excited and blessed. And I just had immediately, like I said, the love that I already had in my heart, it was just waiting for him. And so when she brought him through and I did that, then she came around on the other side because I was in my own, little world. I was just like, it's so excited and just, so in love. And so she says, Cherie, here's your son, here's David. And so I took him and I just swung him and her around. It's like, if you can imagine, I've got this boot on. I'm not supposed to really be, standing on my foot, as much as possible. You're supposed to stay off of it for this issue that I have with my foot. And so I have them both, David's wrapped in her arms, and I've got her and him, and I'm swinging them around. And everybody was just kind of going, okay. She's kind of out there sometimes. So, anyway, she put him in my arms, and I remember seeing the picture, and I've posted it. It's on my I think it's still on my personal profile. And I am doing this from my business page today. But I was so excited to see this child and to get him, to hold him, that I couldn't hear anything else. I was on cloud 59, whatever. I was like, I was just out, and so just happy and just amazed and just looking at how God pulls some things together and how things work out. And so I ended up with my second son, David, and brought him home, and we had everybody here come by to see him. And it was just awesome. It was such an awesome thing to have no children, no way to get children that I thought of naturally because, like I said, divorced and didn't want to wait around until I found somebody or somebody found me. And I just kept praying about it. And I ended up with these two beautiful, awesome boys. And it doesn't matter, the we have ups and downs in our lives. We have things that happen and things that you're not really happy about, but then there are other things that just take you to a whole nother level of excitement and happiness. And every because people would say, I know this is really getting long, I'm sorry, but people would say, well, I don't like them at this age. I prefer such and such age. I liked every age. It's that even when they were teenagers, it was getting tough, but I was still doing the do and taking care of my sons, and so in love with my boys that uh, I was just so in love with them. So that is my story of how you know the love that I have for children, the foster care system, and adoption, how it all worked out for me to have two precious sons in my life that I raised, that my family helped me raise, and they were just such a blessing. So I see this is getting even longer, so I'm going to go on and cut it off there. But I hope you can relate to just the excitement, the love, and knowing that they were born in my heart. I didn't have to carry them. That's okay, when you can do that, when you can have your own children, as well as, because there are other families that are still blended because they adopt and they have their own children as well. So I just want to share this story with you, and I'm sorry if it went long, but I'm so, so thankful, and I'm still so, so blessed no matter what difficulties come, no matter the good times, the bad times. Just it's so exciting, and I'm still in love with my two precious boys, and I'm so thankful for how I got them. So have a good one. Have a blessed rest of your day and wherever you are in the world. And I'm going to get off here. And I'm sorry this went long, but take care. Bye now.